What's going on, people? It's me, the Real Mossy, with a Battlefield 3 flight tutorial for you. Yes, I'm going to show you how to get to the chopper and hopefully stay alive for more than 2 seconds. This video is for people having a hard time with choppers and everyone who's getting their hands on the game for the first time during the holidays. Before we get into it, I want to stress 3 important things when it comes to learning how to fly, or learning how to do anything for that matter. And those things are: 1. Be patient. 2. Take it slow. And most importantly, 3. Practice. Because let's face it, you can watch all the tutorials and guides you want, but without practice, you won't see any improvement. So with that in mind, let's get started. We're going to start off with the basics, then work our way to some tricks you can use in battle. But before we get to anything, we have to figure out which control scheme to use. I'm using the default scheme here. It's probably the go-to control layout for the majority of chopper pilots, but you should try out the different schemes and settle on one that you like. Once you pick one, stick with it. Don't go back and forth between control schemes, because that's just going to confuse you and make it a lot harder to learn how to fly. The controls in this tutorial will be based on the default scheme, and the button designations will be from the PS3, but I will include the Xbox 360 controls in the video so you Xbox gamers won't be left out, don't worry. Beginners learning how to fly a helicopter should start with the Scout helicopters. The Scout helicopters are a lot easier to control and more responsive than the attack helicopter, which I'll be using in this tutorial. You can also use transport helicopters, which are also pretty easy to fly. For the maps and locations of all helicopters and jets, check out Quick Tip 5. And remember to get into a server with a small amount of players so you have a better chance of getting your hands on a chopper. Let's start off with taking off and landing. We're going to make it really easy and use only one button for now, and that's the R2 or RT on Xbox 360. Don't touch either of the sticks right now. I know what you guys do as soon as you take off. You mess around with the sticks and 2 seconds later, boom goes the dynamite, and we're all dead. I've been a passenger in one too many of those choppers, so keep your hands off that stick, at least for now. To take off, slowly squeeze R2 until the chopper reaches a height of about 8 to 10 feet. You only need to squeeze R2 about halfway, don't go too crazy with it. Once you get here, slowly release R2, and if you're parallel to the ground, the chopper should hover right now when you release R2. And make sure you're not touching any other button while it's hovering. Try this a few times in both first person and third person view. To switch to third person, click R3. Now you're ready to land. We're going to add a second button now, and that's the L2 or LT button. Start to very slowly and lightly tap L2 to bring the chopper down. If you think you're descending a bit too fast, tap R2 to slow it down. You'll need to switch back and forth between R2 and L2 on your way down to land softly without crashing. Keep taking off and landing a few times, and each time go a little higher. This will give you an idea of how fast you need to descend to make a soft landing. So now you've got the takeoff and the landing down and you want to go places. Well, we're going to have to add a third element into the mix, and that's a right stick. Great, so this will help you go forward, right? Well, believe it or not, helicopters can only fly up and down. So how the hell do they go forward? Well, they fly up and down relative to what they're parallel to. When you weren't touching the sticks, the chopper was parallel to the ground, so it went up and down relative to the ground. But now that you can touch the right stick, you're going to control the chopper's tilt and change what it's parallel to. While in the air, slowly push the right stick up to bring the chopper's nose down. Now the chopper is no longer parallel to the ground, it's parallel to this line. So when you squeeze the R2 now, it's going to move up relative to this line, which means it's moving forward. Practice moving forward for a bit. And then bring the chopper parallel to the ground again by slowly moving the right stick down. Again, you have to take it slow so you don't crash. If you need to, go into third person view to make sure that you're parallel to the ground. Once you get the hang of it, you should be able to tell when you're parallel to the ground even from inside the cockpit. But when landing, it's always a good idea to go into third person view just to get a good look at what you're landing on and around. Being parallel to the ground is very important for landing. This is one of the biggest mistakes beginners make when trying to land. They hold the L2 and bring the chopper down while the nose is still tilted. This leads to a lot of crashes. Another mistake beginners make is rushing, either squeezing the triggers too hard or moving the sticks too fast. I'm going to say it again, you're going to have to take it slow if you don't want to crash. Alright, we're going back to hovering now. You've already hovered, so you know how to get there. Just like landing, the most important thing with hovering is having the chopper parallel to the ground. So make sure it's parallel to the ground and slowly squeeze R2 to get into the hover position again. By now you've noticed that we haven't touched the left stick yet. Well, it's time. What the left stick does is it turns the chopper much like turning a land vehicle left and right. This is different from tilting. Tilting changes what the chopper is parallel to, whereas turning does not. In flight, you'll mostly move the right stick up and down, and the left stick to the left and right. While you're still hovering, use the left stick to turn the chopper and look around. It's important not to move the right stick at this point because it's going to change what the chopper is parallel to, and that's going to screw up your hovering. Hovering at one spot and looking around is a very useful skill to have, especially if you have a gunner on board. If the gunner is going after foot soldiers, a stable hovering chopper will be very beneficial. Alright, a quick side tip. You see this rectangle with the little moving square in it on the bottom of the chopper's HUD? The little square represents where the gunner is looking. If the square is right in the middle of the rectangle, then the gunner is looking straight at where the chopper's nose is pointing. If it moves to the left or right, then the gunner is looking left or right, respectively. So, if you don't have a mic and you can't talk to the gunner and you hear him shooting, just look at where the little square is in the rectangle to find out exactly where he's looking. So you could turn the chopper in that direction and make it easier for him to get the target. Circling is also a good basic skill to have. You can circle high traffic areas to deal the maximum amount of damage. To circle, get the chopper moving forward by moving the right stick up. You'll mostly use the left stick to turn the chopper in the direction you want it to circle. Use the feedback from the chopper to gauge how far you need to push the left and right sticks to circle. You'll need to go forward for a bit, then turn using the left stick, then go forward some more, and turn and so on to complete the circle. If you keep turning without letting the chopper go forward, you won't circle an area, you'll just spin around. Alright, so now that you know how to take off, land, hover, tilt, and turn, fly the chopper to the edge of the map, away from traffic, and practice. Once you've got the basics of flying down, you can try some battle tactics. Let's start off with making a quick escape while you're being locked onto. You should only try to make a run for it if you know the guy locking onto you is a foot soldier. Don't try to turn around and run away if an enemy chopper is locking onto you, because he can fly just as fast as you can, so you probably won't escape. And if you turn your back to him, he just has a free target to lock onto. Alright, to make a quick escape, quickly tilt the chopper's nose down at a steep angle by pushing the right stick up. Don't push it up too far or the chopper might become unstable. While pushing the right stick up, squeeze R2 as far as it goes and fly forward really fast. Use obstacles like mountains to hide behind until the heat's off. You can also make quick dashes to the left and right. Do this by squeezing R2 while tilting the chopper left or right with the right stick and turning it in the same direction with the left stick. This is useful if an oncoming enemy jet is trying to lock onto you from close range. If dashing is a bit too hard for you right now, you can just let go of R2 and squeeze L2 to lower the chopper so you won't be in the line of sight of the jet anymore. If he's coming towards you and try to lock on, he'll pass right over you and he'll have to turn around and fly lower to lock onto you again. You can do the same thing if you're in a close range battle with an enemy chopper and you need to buy a few seconds for your flares to replenish. Just raise or lower the chopper so you're not in his line of sight. This only works in close range battles though, and if the enemy chopper is far enough away, you'll be in his field of view regardless of how high or low you are. Finally, if you're flying really fast and you need to turn the chopper around quickly to acquire a target, just let go of R2 and slightly squeeze L2 to stop the chopper's forward motion. At the same time, turn both sticks in the direction you want to turn the chopper. This is very useful if you're shooting at ground vehicles and you need to turn around quickly to make a second pass over them. Even though it's just a video game, learning how to fly a chopper is almost exactly like learning how to drive a car or ride a bike in real life. When you're learning, you're aware of everything you have to do, all the buttons you have to press. But once you get the hang of it, it becomes automatic. Most of the time when I fly a chopper, I'm not even aware of which buttons I'm pressing. It just happens. Alright, well that's it guys. I hope this tutorial makes choppers a little less intimidating and a little more accessible to all beginners. Once you get the hang of flying, check out the quick tips on the screen. Quick tip 6 shows you how to level up your vehicles quickly, and quick tip 4 shows you some of the best upgrade and gadget setups for your chopper. Hopefully with all this information you'll be a force in the sky. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe if you want more. Thanks again. I am The Real Mossy. Tell your friends about me.